Hey, everybody. Once again, welcome to Mothers Unfiltered. If you're tuning in now, tuning in later, 15, 20 minutes from now, it doesn't matter, but welcome, welcome, welcome. I always say in the beginning of the show, thank you for taking this opportunity to come and just spend some time with us, educating ourselves, learning, sharing our laughs together and everything. We have definitely a special guest here, Dr. King McCray Sr.
Hey.
Educating us about financial literacy. You know, some of us are novice, some of us claim that we may be experts, but at the end of the day, we all can learn something and teach something to somebody else. So definitely thank you, thank you, thank you. And Ty.
And y'all know what time it is. Again, November 8th will be the last day that we stream live on my personal Facebook page. So if you are not a subscriber on YouTube, click on the icon on your phone or computer, press YouTube, type in Mothers Unfiltered, subscribe, like, share, help us grow our page. We thank everyone that's been following us. We have a little contest going on, but if you want to know about it further, go to the Facebook group Mothers Unfiltered, and you'll be informed there. And then let's get it going.
Yes. So I'm actually going to read this from my cell phone because Dr. King definitely has a long list of accomplishments.
Stop it.
Great thing. And great title to have the name Mr. Dr. King. So definitely. So shall I begin? He's a former college basketball player turned business pioneer. Dr. King McCray Sr. has successfully owned and operated a private financial adversary marketing firm, managed over $450 million in assets for corporations and small businesses, owners alike, nearly for 15 years. Staying ahead of the industry's frequent changes, the financial literacy of households, and successful marketing techniques. From working at prestigious Fortune 500 management firms to opening his own practice in 2007. Wow. In an ongoing effort to give back, Dr. King teaches youth workshops on financial freedom and the pathway to college, a financial series that centers on misguided youth and their adventures in the new financial world. He also sits on the board or serves as a participating member of a host of organizations, including the National Association of Professional Agents, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity, Inc. Beta Sigma, Blacks in Government, Federally Employed Women, YMCA, Souls for Souls, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and more. Woo! I'm tongue-tied. Also, you guys may say, why am I calling him Dr. King? He also holds his PhD in business from Kingston University in London. So he's international, guys.
Right.
And that was the shortest version. I kind of stuttered and everything because there's so many lists of accomplishments.
Did you cut it down? Did you cut that down?
I did. I did. But thank you once again for honoring us, for your presence, for your education, your thoughts, and everything. Before we jump right into it, doing some research as me and my household do. I found out that, Black Americans, when it comes to wealth, and money management, we there's lack of. Mm-hmm. And for many reasons. Prior to the podcast, you mentioned how there's a conversation that we're kind of scared to have. When there's times of death, we don't want to talk about it before. Right. But at the end of the day, when someone passes away, we're passing out the plate. We got a GoFundMe page, a fish fry. Uncles are fighting with aunts and parents and everything because we just don't have a plan. Before we get into all the details, I want to ask you, when it comes to wealth and income, can you give us a synopsis, a brief description of what that is? Because there's a big difference between having wealth,
absolutely,
and then income.
That's
right. Good. So when you really think about it, I think that you need to break down the differences between the two. As far as income pays your bills, wealth is you allowing to have the life that you want to live. Okay. And when I talk to all of our clients, I tell them this specific way: you're already wealthy. Okay. You have $1 million in your head right now. You just have to figure out how to get it, right? How to obtain that $1 million that's already in your head. So that's why, you know, when I talk about knowledge is power, it's really applied knowledge is power, because we're talking today and I'm going to give you knowledge, you know, the both of you are going to give out knowledge, but until we actually apply the knowledge that we have, it's not going to make a difference. So being wealthy is the mindset that you put yourself in, right? Mm-hmm. So you could make $200,000 a year and technically be wealthy. It's all about how you manage your money, right? It's all about the income versus expenses. It's all about your assets versus your liabilities, right? So when we think about wealth as a whole, wealth can be a plethora of things, but you have to understand first what that dollar means to you, and then how that translates into your everyday life. Because again, your income is what's coming in, but you have expenses that are going out. So that pays your bills. But the wealth is what's on top of that, that lets you have the travel, right? That lets you have the multiple rental properties, that lets you have, you know, the different vehicles or whatever it may be, to you, whatever that wealth may be. So you have to first find out what is wealth to you, and then break that barrier down and say, okay, now that I know what wealth is to me, I'm going to go out and get wealthy, because again, I have that $1 million in my head. I just have to pluck it out.
So what do you see like is one of the biggest and common mistakes that we make when we want to search for that wealth?
Two different things. Number one is planning. Okay. That's just by far the most consistent thing that we as people do. We don't plan. Okay. So when we think about, okay, yeah, I need to be consistent in life, well, we are consistently not planning. So until we have a set plan on pen, on paper, written down on a vision board or wherever it may be, until you have that actual plan laid out, you're going to go in so many different directions. Because if you think about just anybody's average career, right? They may start out working somewhere, then they start out, you know, going somewhere else, then they start going somewhere else. Only 10% of individuals that actually hold a degree are actually working in their field. Okay. So I'm going to say that again. 10% of the people that actually have a college degree, whatever it may be, only 10% of those are actually working in their exact field.
Wow.
So, you know, to have you want to be an art major. Okay. Nothing wrong with it. I love it. Be an art major. I love art. Right. But how many people are actually working in that field? My degree, my undergrad is in marketing. Now, true, do I do marketing in what I do? Absolutely. But I ended up going down a completely different path, and my PhD is in finance. Right. How the hell do you get there? So, you know, when you look at planning, you have to set a plan for yourself. And sometimes, you know, plans fall through. That's okay. It's understandable. But if you set a plan and you set the guideline, then you can put yourself on a better path. The second thing is we don't understand the value of money. Okay. We don't understand the value of money. We look at it as a you know, at a dollar as a dollar for what it is, right? For face value. But you have to look at it beyond that, right? What can that dollar do for you? Okay. How far can you stretch that dollar? What's the old adage? I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents.
Right.
How can you stretch that, right? How can you make it work for you? So the best way that I tell people is that you have to start paying yourself first. So before I pay any bills, I pay myself first, because it's important, because I'm important, because my dollar is important. So if, you know, growing up, if we had to go without lights and we had to go get these dollar candles from the store, that's what we're going to do, because we need to make sure that we're paying ourselves first and that we're putting ourselves on the best path for success. Then the rest shall come.
Speaking about best paths, let me bring out a statistic. So there's 41 African Americans living, 41 million, African Americans currently living in the United States of America. 44 million who claim that they may be mixed with something else. You know, I'm half and half or whatever. So it's not too much of a disparity between 41 million to 44 million African Americans in reference to that. Out of that percentage, 86% of Black households, so that's the man, the woman, the grandma, and all that, make less than $100,000 a year. Breaking that down further, 46% make less than $35,000. Now you take that 46%, and you break that down even further. Half of that make under $15,000. How can one survive? How can one even say, hey, I want to save? I wanted to bring you on the show. What made me say, oh my God, I have to have a financial advisor on this show, because I went to a birthday dinner. It was a total of 8 women. We all had our masks on. This is right when they were starting to let people go back out to the restaurants. And they were talking about savings. And the woman said to me, she said, girl, I started a savings plan. I'm like, oh, that's great. And she says, yes, for every $300 she gets, she takes $5 and saves it. So I'm thinking to myself, well, that's amazing, because all this time you would have saved so much money. So I said, what did you get to? She said, well, I have $300. I said, well, wait a second. Well, that makes sense.
Do the math on that.
Yeah. So if you have majority of African Americans making less than what the standard is, where do you begin? How can, like, how am I saving for what? I need to pay this bill.
Right, which is definitely true. And that's, again, where, we go back to the beginning of what I said. We have to understand what's coming in and what's going out, because so many of us live beyond our means. Let's be honest, right? Let's just throw it out on the table. Okay. We live beyond our means. So therefore we're dishing out more money than we actually need to. So if we understand what our daily bills look like, if, again, we're writing it down, pen and paper, or putting it inside an app like Personal Capital or whatever it may be, right? Whatever app you want to use, Mint, whoever it may be. If you start to put this information down and you're saying, okay, I know that these bills are mandatory. What are the necessities in life? Okay. Right. Going back to the Jungle Book, these are your necessities, right? So you look at the necessities that you have in life, and then you look at the income that you have coming in. Now you have what's called discretionary income, or funny money. Okay. You got money that's left over that you know for a fact where it needs to be, where it needs to go, and so on and so forth. So if you look at the expenses versus your income, and you say, okay, before I pay these expenses, I'm going to take a small portion to pay myself, because I have a future, or at least we want to have a future. So therefore, I'm going to make sure that my money goes further. Now, when we start to look at, here's my income, these are my expenses, and then if it starts to funnel in, at some point we got to cut back. And trust me, I hear it all the time. Well, I've cut as much as I could. There's only so far that you can cut back, and so on and so forth, which is true to an extent, because we all have an obligation to go where we want to go to in life. And sometimes you have to sacrifice today in order to have a better tomorrow. And that's just the real true reality of it. Okay. So sometimes it does take us working 2-3 jobs to make sure that we're getting to the next level. But if you combine those 2 or 3 jobs, and then you find the right one that actually pays more money than those 2 or 3, then we can put ourselves in a better light, right? I was just having this conversation with my friend the other day. She was like, I'm stretched out so thin, this job is not paying me enough. I think I'm gonna go get a second job. And I stopped and I said, well, why would you do that? Why not just go find another job that pays you more money, that's gonna enhance not only your skills, but allow you the opportunity to grow? Because don't tell me they're not hiring out here, because I know for a fact that they are. It's jobs on Indeed, it's jobs on what's the other ones? ZipRecruiter, all that other jazz. The jobs are out there, right? But you have to put your mindset on, I'm going to go out here and get it. And if you can't get it through a job, what's the next best opportunity for you?
I say create your own job.
Start your own business. There you go.
What can I just piggyback off of what you're
Absolutely.
saying? Yeah. The mentality that we have, we need to start changing the way we think. Here's what I personally cannot comprehend. We are comfortable living an uncomfortable life outside of a lot of our means, financial means, mental health means. But when we think about it in the way of being uncomfortable, knowing that long term we have a goal, we won't do that. I really am having a hard time understanding that. We'll struggle to get this done, that done, knowing we can't pay this bill, and we're going to have a hard time buying food.
Let me interject real quick, because when you say that, I always put myself out there all the time. Even though I'm here now, I'm originally from the hood with the capital H. And with that being said, myself, my family, the neighbors, everybody is struggling, and they have the hustle mentality. They live paycheck to paycheck, and we know how to make it work. When the recession hit, I always said it never affected me and my family, because I know how to make it work. Within saying that, the word fear is very strong within our community. It's a word that we do not talk about because we're supposed to have this strong mentality. You're a strong Black man, I'm a strong Black woman. Yeah. But that fear is hanging over us in all these different aspects. How do we take that out when talking about money?
So, I mean,
how do we get that?
So, I mean, you got to think of it like this. We are strong as a people, right? I mean, we can go back through ancestry. We are strong. We have been through the depths of hell when it comes to everything else in this world.
True.
So why not continue to, dive deep into that strength and see who you are? Because if you're willing to go and say, you know what, I'm gonna work this 9 to 5 and I'm gonna work hard as hell for whoever your boss may be, but then you come home and slack and don't do what you could do, which is work on your business in the evening, because there's only so much time in a day, right? There's 24 hours in a day. Let's break it down by numbers, okay? Let's do it like this. There's 24 hours in a day. The average person will sleep 8 hours, okay? That drops you down to 16, okay? Then you got to work 8 hours, okay? That leaves you left with what? 8 hours. You have 8 hours in the day to go out and get it, whether it be using 4 hours of that time to actually focus on growing your own business, using the other 4 hours for family, because you got to understand that, hey, family, I'm sacrificing. This is what I got to do right now, right? When I tell you late nights and early mornings, when I first started my company, I'm talking about I'm up and I'm away from my family probably every other week. Like literally every other week, I'm on the road. I'm going out doing seminars. I'm going out talking. I'm flying to different cities. I'm trying to, get this contract, that contract, so on and so forth. I barely saw my kids at one point in time, but they understood that sacrifice. Now I probably see my kids way too much because I've built something that is sustainable. It runs on its own. There are some days that I just don't have to work because I built and sustained it. Now, this is not me bragging, but this is just me saying it's very possible because like he has said, I come from the hood with a capital H. Okay. I'm talking about the projects, right?
Yeah.
And when you think about where you were and then where you are today, I mean, there's so much information out there about me and people have seen it. I mean, I put it up a long time ago. Never let your past define you, right? I used to be in a gang. I put up the picture on Instagram and all that jazz. People saw it. This is one lifestyle that you see. And then now you see me in these suits and ties. Now, don't let these suits and ties fool you because it's always in me. You know what I'm saying? But don't ever let the suit and ties fool you. Right? But be that as it may, you can allow your past to help you grow, but don't let it define you, right? Realize who you were and where you're trying to go. And that's how we just have to dig deep into ourselves. Because again, if you have these 24 hours in a day, 8 of it is sleeping, which you do need to get your rest. Another 8 of it is working for someone else. What are you going to do with the last 8 hours of your day?
Right. You have to be dedicated again. And for me, it goes back to that mindset. Where do your priorities lie? What are you willing to do to accomplish a goal? But what I notice is a lot of us don't really have set goals. So what are we really working for? And, some people are working towards that every day. I need to pay this light bill today. I need to get this car payment done today. They're not thinking long term because they may not see their self in a different position long term. This is why I think it's so important to have conversations like this. You have to put that work in.
Which is very true. I mean, it's just that, and that's one thing that I find even when we are trying to hire people for our company, people don't want to work. Okay. They want all the benefits of work. Right. They want the paycheck. They want the health insurance, the life insurance, the dental vision, the flexible spending accounts, the 401k, but they don't want to actually work. When you're in an industry like the financial services, a lot of people know it. The income amount that you can make is unlimited. Literally, there is no cap. There's no ceiling on the amount of money that you can make in financial services, period. Right. But how hard do you want to work to get there? It took me a while to get to this part, and I'm not finished. I'm still building. I'm still studying. I'm getting new licenses. I'm still growing. I just failed a test on Tuesday, and I have no problem telling you I failed it by 2 points. And I promise you this, in 30 days, I'm going to pass it again. I will pass it that time. because I want to grow. I want to get to another level. So that's what we have to do as a people. We have to understand where we want to go to and how much we can grow. Keep pouring the knowledge into yourself. Learn.
Do you think that when an individual starts working at whatever job they're working for, and let's just say it's a decent company, so they're working for it, and then now they're looking at their benefits. Benefits can be very, very scary. My background is in HR, but I have worked in the benefits sector, so I definitely know about it, but the average person doesn't. With that being said, you mentioned 401ks, you mentioned health savings accounts and those things. Are you able to elaborate a little bit on the HSAs and the health savings plans? And even for people who don't work per se for a company, but they're looking like, well, should I even put some money into this? And like, should I have a savings plan over here? Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think that when it comes down to a health savings account or a health savings plan, you would only need that in the event that you actually have a lot of medical issues. Okay. And this is just me being blunt and honest. If you don't go to the doctor that much and you're not actually actively, utilizing those type of benefits, there's no reason for you to have it because you could put that money somewhere else. Now, granted, yes, accidents happen, things happen. For instance, with a flexible spending account. Now, remember, an FSA and an HSA are two completely separate things. Yeah. An HSA is a health savings account that allows you to save. The money is, it sits in an account. You can put it away tax deferred or tax free, depending on how you structure it. With an FSA, a flexible spending account, that's use or lose. Yeah. So people are putting money into an account that they don't use, and then they lose that money. So there's no benefit in that. So that's why you have to understand what you're seeking and what you get. Definitely always look over the material, always read it. But if you go to the doctor more often, if you go to the doctor more than normal, then absolutely a health savings account is very, very important because you are literally saving for that aspect of it. When it comes to like major medical insurance, it's important to have it. But one thing that you do need to realize is that health insurance is only going to increase. Okay. It's only going to be something that continuously increases year over year. And that's just the reality of it because modern medicine is getting more advanced and therefore that more advancement is costing us more money. Okay. Whether you like it or hate it or love it, the Affordable Care Act was important. It was a great thing to happen for the United States. It definitely helped out, a lot of people when it came to getting those insured. But for instance, like myself right now, even though I'm a business owner, even though, I have the ability to go out and get it, I don't have health insurance because I do the things that I need to do necessarily to keep myself healthy. But if I have to go to the doctor for whatever reason, that's why I've built my health savings account to the side to where I can say, hey, I need to go to the doctor. Okay, well, how much does it cost? Oh, it's $120. Okay, here you go. Give me my physical. Is there anything wrong? You see what I'm saying? So it's just all about how you plan and structure it. But if you are technically taking care of yourself, you won't need to go to the doctor that much.
So can I just say for the folks that are like just now tuning in, we're talking about financial literacy. So we know, again, we talked offline when financial literacy, we're talking about budgeting, investment, spending. What else is there? Budgeting, investment, spending.
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a whole lot.
So my question would be, all right, so someone who has started none of the process and sees Mothers Unfiltered and sees you on is like, oh, I want to start getting stuff ready for my family. What could you suggest they do? Is it like in a certain income bracket? Do you go, the route A? And if you're under this income bracket, what's better for you over here?
Call me. No, I'm serious. I say that with the most love and like admiration for everything that you all do. But in being completely honest, people that want to start, they start and then they stop, and it's because they don't have the direction that they need to go in. It's because they don't have the guidance that they need to go in. Because if you start doing something, you may say, hey, you know what? Like that lady said, I'm gonna start saving $5 out of every $300 that I get, and so on and so forth. Again, make it make sense, because if you got to a certain dollar amount and it wasn't where you needed to be based upon how much you got, at some point in time you stopped or you pulled from it, or anything else could have happened. So everybody needs guidance, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. See, now y'all about to make me get deep.
Preach.
Come on, man.
See, we as a race of people, and I say this as African Americans or minority as a whole. I'm going to say this as minorities. I'm not going to just say African Americans because there's this minorities. Okay. We don't like to ask for help. And it's because we think that it makes us feel inferior, or it's because of that fear factor, right? Or it's because that we feel like we know everything. Listen, ask for help. There's nothing wrong with it. A wise man knows a wise man knows nothing, period. Okay. Ask for help. There's nothing wrong with it. Gain the knowledge and seek it and get understanding. I'm telling you, a quick conversation with somebody that knows something is going to take you a lot further, because if you walk into the room and you're the smartest one in the room, there's a problem. You need to go into a different room. Okay. And that's just the reality of it. Because if you are the smartest one in the room, or if you're the smartest one in your group of friends,
whole new group.
Right? Or if you're the most successful person in your group of friends, we need to have a whole new conversation about who you surround yourself with. Because, you know, even though I may not be on their level, I surround myself with millionaires and billionaires all the time, because that's where I want to be. And I know, and they're feeding me insight. And when I tell you that these people are giving me knowledge and giving me information, I'm telling you, I'm like a sponge. I'm just soaking it in. And sometimes it's so much that I got to take a break from spending time with them, because they're giving me so much information.
I love the fact that you made this statement about, you know, if you look at your circle of friends, if you're the smartest one in the group, or if you make more money than the person in the group, you might need a new group. That is so key, because at the end of the day, it's about learning. It's about learning and being able to teach one and give one. And if we're all on the same level, how are we helping each other? We have to be able to take what we know and share that information. So once again, if you hear me say too many thank yous, I'm sorry, but thank you for just enlightening us and being that breath of fresh air. Home ownership.
Okay.
Home ownership is a big one, because
it's
now
not for everybody.
Well, it's not for everybody, but at the same time, rental properties are going up. Probably as I'm speaking right now, rental properties are just going up by the beat. Mm-hmm. People are like, hey, wait a second, for all the money that I'm paying here, I could be paying, you know, for this. Doing a little bit more research. Non-homeowners, for our counterparts, their median household net worth is $3,775, while us as a people are worth $120. That's for non-homeowners. For homeowners, you have $239,300 for our counterparts, and for us as a people, that would be $99,000. With that being said, do you feel, and I know you made a statement before we even got into it, it's not for everybody, but don't you think that's something that we can say, hey, this is how we're starting to build wealth? Because
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to shy away from it. Home ownership is not for everybody, and that's just the reality. There are some people that get a home and can't afford it, can't take care of it, and then it ends up going back to the bank anyway. Okay. So let's not put yourself in a bad situation that you don't need to be in any further. Okay. But with that being said, is it okay for all of us to be homeowners? Absolutely, in some shape, form, or fashion. Okay, there's different ways that you can own property and not be in that property. Okay,
gotcha.
You can still be a homeowner or own property, and when I mean property, I mean real estate, right? Yeah. By owning what's called a REIT, a real estate investment trust. I own property in Chicago, in New York, in Philadelphia, in Miami. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm a part owner in these REITs, but the physical property that we own is this house that I'm sitting in. Right, this is the one that I'm in. Now, is it to the point where I may want to go buy another property and do rental properties? Maybe, yeah. But see, the thing about me is, I was a renter, and I know how my landlord felt sometimes when I had to call them in the middle of the night and say, hey, this water heater broke, or this, that broke, and this, that, and the third. That's not me. Then you got to cut corners and you say, well, you know what? To cut out to not be that individual, I'm going to place somebody else in the middle, which is going to be a property manager. Well, now you got to pay them. So you're cutting into your profits. All right. But to wrap it back around, Do I feel like home ownership is important? Yes, absolutely. If you look at the amount of money that you can spend in rent, and you look at the return of value that you can get into a home, absolutely, it is definitely worth getting into a home. But I want people to go in with the mindset of, if you do own a home, realize that it's not always going to be your forever home, and it may just be a stepping stone for you to gain more money.
Oh, that's
okay. So I'll say that again. Go into home ownership realizing that this is, number one, not going to be your forever home. And that, two, it may only be a stepping stone to earn more money. Because you may get into a home and say, you know what? I got into a home. I'm a homeowner now. But you might not even like the house. Right? You might not even want to live in a house, but just because you wanted the title of being a homeowner, you put yourself in a bad situation. Now you got this 30-year mortgage on this property that you don't like. It's broken down. You know, you got to fix it up, all this other jazz. But to some, they may just buy the house and say, you know what? I'm buying the house to rent out the property. And that's it. Or I'm buying this house in this area because I know it's going to get developed in the future, and I just want the land. I'm going to let the house rot, and somebody's going to buy it out at some point in time. Right? So there's so many different ways to look at it, but I do believe that, you know, if you can afford a home, get the home. If your credit, Jesus.
And can you, after you say what you say, can you please on the credit, please?
Yes. If your credit is where it needs to be, then it makes sense to get a home, because I mean, right now you can actually buy a home for 2.5%, 2.25% interest right now.
Interest rates are great.
Like, it's beautiful.
Yep.
Buyers are out there like, listen, I want this, that, and so it's it's in the right space. But to segue into credit, listen, credit is important if you want to be wealthy, period. I'm just going to put it out there. If you want to be wealthy, the key word is, if you want to be wealthy, you need to have good credit. And it's not because of the fact of it's going to give you better rates and this, that, and the third. It's because it's going to allow you access to more things.
Yes.
Okay. It's going to open up doors that you may not have ever noticed. Now, this is me giving you a little financial hack. Okay, here's a quick financial prescription.
Write it down.
When you own a business, you get what's called a tax ID number, or an employer identification number.
The EIN number.
Okay,
Yeah.
that becomes basically a whole new social security card.
Yep.
If you use it properly, there's a lot of things that you can do. Okay. A lot of things that you can do. And, there's a lot of people that know this information, but they still don't know how to use it. They still don't know how to do it.
Right.
Well, basically, by starting a business and you get this EIN, you have to at least have 2 years worth of that business actually making income, actually growing, showing a profit, not always a loss, but showing a profit. Then at that point, you start with a secure credit card.
Yep.
You pay that, right? Pay that. Then you move to an unsecured credit card. Okay. Then from there, you start getting lines of credits. Okay. Once you get your lines of credits, then you can start getting vehicles. Once you get vehicles, you can then start getting property.
But can we remember that when we're building our credit and getting vehicles and property and this, that, and the third, that we continue to pay any bills that we have? Don't let it lapse.
Absolutely.
Like, don't think you're too cute for the game and then mess your stuff up. Look, we're going unfiltered, right?
Right.
Like, again, some people put their hard work in and then get there, and then it's like, what happened? Don't get to the top and then flip flat back down to the bottom.
It happens every day.
Wait a minute. What's a good credit score? What should we be aiming for to get looked at, to not pay a lot of high interest rates for anything we're trying to buy, that blah 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 blah. And how do we start to fix it? What can we do?
Okay. So the first thing, to answer your first question, the number of where you should be honestly depends on what you're wanting to do. Okay. Because if you're just wanting vehicles, credit cards, and things of that nature, and you just want to be in a better place, then that's going to be 710, 720. Okay. Honestly, a 710, 720 will get you in a good place. That'll get you some decent interest rates and so on and so forth. Now, if you want to get to the top notch, obviously that's going to be the 780s, the 800s. Okay. Now, it's very hard to get there if you're right now in the 500s, right? It's okay. It's going to take you some time. It might take you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, but that's okay. Because once you get there, you're there. But in order to start, so the second question is, in order to start was you first got to take a look at your credit and realize what's on there. A lot of the stuff can be disputed, but then again, a lot of the stuff that's disputed can come back on there because just because you disputed it doesn't mean they're not going to sell it to somebody else and then put it back on your credit.
Right.
So you want to have conversations with these creditors. Pick up the damn phone. Pick up the phone. Y'all on the phone all the time anyway. Pick up the phone, call the creditor. Say, look, what can I do about this account? How can I get this removed off of my credit? How much do you want? I know how much you probably paid for it, but how much do you want? Because I guarantee you, they paid pennies on the dollar for your debt. They paid pennies on the dollar for your debt. And there was a study out there that, if I'm not mistaken, it said that for every dollar that was actually owed, the creditor or the third party company only paid about 5 or 6 cents for that debt. So, of course, they got to make a profit. They've already paid the debt off, so they have to make some of that money back that they paid. That's how it works. OK, so if you want to get into a company, be somebody, that collects debt. You go out and say, hey, I'll negotiate this debt. This person owes $1,000. I'll pay you $450 on it. Do you not think they're going to take that money? Because you wasn't giving them their $1,000, so they're going to take the $450. But what are they going to do when they come to you? They're going to ask you for the full $1,000. And I say, we'll take a settlement of $750.
Right.
And what do? You jump on it. You're like, well, shit, I'll take the $750 because I don't have to pay the $1,000. They made a profit. Okay, so go in, have conversations, look on your credit and realize what's on there. If you got medical bills on there, that is against the law now. They cannot be on there. Dispute them all day. Medical bills cannot be on your credit anymore.
Really?
Dispute them. Absolutely not. They cannot be on. They passed a law. I think it was back in 2000. I want to say 16, 17. Medical bills cannot be on your credit anymore.
Wow.
They can't be. So go in and dispute them. Late payments. And not necessarily you can dispute a late payment, but then again, they'll come back with your, your history and so on and so forth. But what you would do is if you've paid on time for a good period of time now, just call the creditor and say, hey, can you take off this old late payment that's on my account? Because if you go from a 90-day late at any point in your tenureship to a 60, that's going to help your credit score. Or if you go from a 60 to a 30, it's going to help your credit score. Or you go from 30 to 0, it's really going to help your credit score. But the thing is, most creditors, and this is how you have to look at it now, most creditors run on what's called a 24-month calendar. Okay, 24-month calendar. That means if you have 24 consecutive payments, your late ones are now gone because every month drops off every time a new month come in.
Oh,
okay. So 24 months of payments on time is going to help you. That's why I say it may take some time to get there, but if you start paying on time, it's really going to help. And then the other thing is, which I'm pretty sure you all have probably talked about this, in the group before, but always check when your statement date is on your credit card. Okay. Your statement date is the date that reports to the credit bureau. So if you pay the day before or the day of your statement date when it closes, then that's what's being reported to the credit bureau. Ooh. So you can run up a card and then, on your statement date, you pay it down to 0 or it gets reported. And then the next day, boom, you can start running that card back up again. But again, it's all about understanding how to do it, right? Not going above your means. But if you're paying your bills, so this is how you need to have it. So you pay your bills with your credit card, but you got the money set aside into your expense account because that's how you pay your expenses, right? Your expense account is sitting to the side. That's money that goes in there that you have to pay your bills with anyway. Pay your credit cards, get those points, get those air mileage, because I love to travel, that cash back, get all of that stuff. And then from there, you just pay it on the statement date. Well, what did you do? You not only paid your credit card on time, it's reporting to your credit bureau is on time, it's reporting as a 0 balance, and your credit card company is more than likely going to give you a higher credit limit because you've been paying it so consistently and on time. I'm trying to tell you, I went from having a secure credit card that was paying me $250 to now it is about $5,000 because I paid on time and they just have continuously increased that credit limit.
Do y'all hear what's going on Mothers Unfiltered? Yeah, he dropping some jewels.
I want to before we switch gears real quick again, I just wanted to address, just in case people are like, well, what is credit? Credit paints a picture of what you've been doing with your financial history and how you're able to pay your bills on time and these different things. A lot of times growing up, ain't nobody thinking about no credit. You putting something in your kid's name or whatever the case may be, and then you're like, yeah, that's happened to me sometimes, but we're not going
to grow up with a 350 credit score.
And you be like, wait a second, I ain't never
stop doing them babies like that, y'all. Stop doing them babies like that.
Light bill, I was only 2.
What's this magazine on here?
But with him saying that, I also wanted to put out there just a tidbit when he mentioned cash back. When you have any credit cards, debit cards, or anything, especially credit cards that say, hey, you got this cash back reward points or whatever, make sure you find out the date that it expires. Because a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm saving. I got 12, or let's just say $200 in reward points. Now you finally want to use it maybe for Christmas or whatever. And guess what? They expire. Find out those little fine line dates because you don't want to keep saving and the money ends up getting wasted just because you expired it. But just switching gears real quick. The last episode that we had, we were talking about emergency funds.
Okay.
And what should we have and if these things happen, of course, we want to say that everything will still be okay, but just in a general sense, what type of emergency fund should we have on hand?
So if you look at the typical disability, somebody isn't going to be out of work for about 90 days. Okay. So that means that at least 3 to 6 months. And I say that because you got 90 days, but then you got another 90 days to get back on your feet. It's going to take time to catch up, right? A lot of us don't have short-term disability, long-term disability. Right. And quite naturally, for some, it's not feasible enough to get that. So you might as well just save and you can have a better, value of your money versus you paying into a policy and all this other stuff. Now, this is coming from somebody that does investments, that sells insurance. And I'm telling you, like, it's okay if you can't buy it or if you can't get it, but save some money, right? So that rainy day fund is what we call it. That rainy day fund is for time periods when, things just go wrong. Things go bad. You need a water heater. You got flat tires. You got to go buy a new refrigerator, whatever it may be. Like, everybody needs a rainy day fund. But the thing is, you got to start. That's the whole premise. You have to start. You got to start putting the money away. And the best thing that you can do for yourself is get you an online bank account that doesn't have an actual physical location that you have to go to. Okay. That's where you put your money, in that online bank account, because it probably takes you 3 to 5 days to get the money. If you try to transfer it, it's not going to transfer it on time. So instead of you being able to be like, oh, okay, well, I see it right here, I'm going to just transfer it. Well, if it's an emergency, you need that money ASAP, right? If you have it in this rainy day fund that's set to the side, you can't just go tap into that money. So it's over there, right? Mm-hmm. So what I tell people is to either get an online bank account or get a bank account in a whole nother state that's not in your state. That way the money is away. Okay. Right. That way the money is far away, or you can always do what's called a money market. Now, money markets are free. Okay. They're through brokerage firms. And they do give you some interest. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's not a lot, but you set the money to the side, but it's cash on hand. Basically, a money market account is cash on hand, right? So at least you can set the money to the side. You have cash on hand. The money is growing probably by like 0.8% or whatever it may be. But again, it's having that access to the money at some time period, but you don't need immediate access to it. Never let your savings account be at the same bank as your checking account.
Can you say that again?
Never let your savings account be at the same bank as your checking account, because you're going to access that money. Because how they get you is, oh, don't you want to set this up on overdraft protection? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna set it up on overdraft protection. But then that's when you get to swiping, okay, yep. And it just gets to feeding back into your checking account. And then now you're out of money again. So never let your savings account be at the same bank as your checking account. And if it is, put it in a completely different separate side. Don't sign up, anything of that nature, all of it.
Can I just really quick, Kia? Dr. King McCray, Steve, can you just really quick tell the viewers who you are, what you do, how to contact you, and your this is the segue, your regular pricing for services, and then what they get under Mothers Unfiltered.
Okay, no, absolutely. So,
I like how you
Okay.
That was good. All right. So who I am a whole bunch of different things. So I'm an investment advisor, a financial coach, a father, a husband, a friend, a brother. I am the financial doctor. Literally, like my clients call me that. They are the ones that came up with that, not me. One day a client was talking to me and he was just like, you know what, man? He was like, dude, you are literally the financial doctor because you just gave me all, the medicine I need to get my life back right.
And it's great,
and that's how it happened. Right. And it's great marketing. But no, so how you can contact me, you can definitely contact me through Facebook. Just look up King McCray. I'm on Instagram at @the_financial doctor. You can always call me 407-602-8641.
For business. For business.
Yeah, definitely for business. Yeah, my wife. Hey, wife is crazy. She will look for you.
I told you we had this conversation.
Yeah. You can email me King King at McCrayEnterprises.org. McCrayEnterprises.org. Okay. So regular fee pricing. Depending on if you wanted to set up like a brokerage account or if you wanted me to help manage your assets, we normally charge anywhere between 1% and 2% of your assets. We also charge a monthly fee-based planning, which ranges from anywhere between $50 to $150 per month, depending on how you want us to, to help you. We do financial second reviews or comprehensive planning that goes from anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 for a plan. And that's just us looking at what you have and just saying if it's good or bad and you have it with somebody else. But for Mothers Unfiltered, all of those fees are out of the picture. So if you do seriously need help, if you do seriously want to have a better financial future, I'm waiving all of those fees. No asset management fees, no monthly fees, none of that jazz. We're going to do this thing right.
Yes, thank you so much.
Don't be going around folks saying you under Mothers Unfiltered if you're not.
We know our viewers.
Right. And I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. Please don't hit me up if you're not serious. Okay.
Thank you.
Don't hit me up if you're not serious. If you really don't want to, change your financial future, if you really don't want to go in a new direction, if you really don't want to sacrifice, if you really don't want to have that hard conversation, don't call me. Call the next guy, right? Don't message me, message the next guy, because I'm about changing people's lives. I'm about really putting people in better financial situations. And I don't have time. I got kids, I coach, I teach, all the different things that she says that I do. I travel, for business and pleasure. So my time is money, and money is what we're talking about. So if you're not serious, don't call me, don't text me, don't message me, none of that, because I'm only about literally really helping people. And I'm doing this literally out of the kindness of my heart for Ty, for Kia. Love both of them. There's a great group of women. So seriously, man, like we are about changing people's lives, and that's why I'm here. That's why they're here. So don't call me if you're not serious.
And don't mention Mothers Unfiltered neither if you ain't serious.
That's it. Right.
No, but thank you so much. And just to reiterate, if you mention Mothers Unfiltered and you contact him, the fees will be waived. And it's such a blessing because the average individual can't just say, oh yeah, I'm working with our financial advisor. Oh yeah, I have this money prescription right here on how to do this and this with my assets. So this is really, really big and really, really huge. So once again, thank you, Dr. King. I wanted to also put out there before we go, because I personally know people who use cash advances, and they're the worst. The rental furniture. I don't have no names out there on the Unfiltered.
We
don't do names.
You want to know what?
Unless I really don't like
no more flip bangs for you. No more flip bangs for you.
She acting up. She acting up.
You see it, right?
Yeah. She got that hair out here, you know, bouncing in behavior, so she acting up.
Said though, unfortunately, if you go into certain communities, they're on every corner, right next to the liquor store. Even if you do online banking, they know exactly. I don't disclose the fact that I do work for a bank. I never say the name, but I know exactly that they know already. Look into the accounts, who needs a cash advance and how we're going to put these products to you. They don't do it to everybody. They know exactly what your figures are. Can you please explain how important that rent of furniture is not? If you got to sit your ass on the floor, sit it on the floor, do it old school.
Hey, that's it.
Explain that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, when you look at it like this, from this standpoint, if you're renting, it's because you can't afford it. Okay. Let's just be real. If you're renting, it's because you can't afford it. If you do have to rent, go in with a plan, right? 90 days, same as cash. 120 days, same as cash. In 4 months, it's paid off. In 3 months, it's paid off, whatever it may be. So structure your payment so that it is paid off if you have to go that route. I mean, you know, I've been there. Okay. There's been times where I was like, you know what? I'm going to rent this for, you know, the 90 days, same as cash, but I'm going to pay it off. And that's exactly what we did. But, you know, you have to be of sound mind and body when you go to those places, because if you think about the cash advances, their interest rates are all of 200%, 300%, 400%. If that's going to be the case, you need to become the bank yourself. Okay. Right. And that's how I really want you to look at it. Become the bank.
Yeah. If
you need to go out and get a cash advance and you're willing to pay back 200%, 300%, 400%, you need to go become the bank. Yeah. So if that's the case, then, you know, a group of friends can get together and say, hey, we're going to create our own cash advance, right? And let's make it more economical.
That's an idea,
right? Let's make it more feasible. Let's make it to where it's a better opportunity for people to come collect money. But let's cut out the bullshit. Let's cut out some of the fluff, right? Because we'll run your credit. Right. We'll make sure that you are paying your bills on time, because even people with good credit need a cash advance sometimes. That's what it is. Because I'd rather use the bank's money to finance my next investment than to use my own. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good to use other people's money. That's perfectly fine. I'd rather, again, use the bank's money to finance my next investment, not use the bank's money to pay my bills. Okay.
Like you're saying, you know, they target very specific people. They know what their income looks like. It's the perfect setup.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We know it though. We know it, and we still fall prey to it.
Right. But you know, some of us feel like our back is against the wall. But I also like what you had stated about coming together and doing a business or whatever. I mean, even I'm right now. Me personally, I am very big on building my empire and being the starting point for generational wealth. Right. I have Ty Consultant, my own brand. And what I want to do, I want to put my son and my nephew on there as co-owners once I really get it up and popping. I don't want, again, like whatever money we have, even in the hood, in the community, you don't want them buying up all your houses, all of the land. Get together and buy it. Like you said, let it sit there. But at least it's yours. Nobody else can do anything with it. It's the mentality change that we really need to focus on. Guys and girls out there, you selling drugs, that means you know how to do math. That means you know how to market. If you out there mixing drugs, that means you know how to deal with chemicals. Take that and change the mentality.
Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all, like I said, we all got a past.
Seriously. No, that past is your future. That past where you sold drugs, you had the way, you had the package.
It's interesting you said that, Ty, and then also going what you said, Dr. King, in regards to, you know, you had your past, you used to be ganging and this, that, and the third. When I tell people when I bought my second home, I had $300 in my bank account. I had no money, but I promise you now, I done flipped that, triple that, and all that, and I'm doing well.
Right.
So it's like you could take those hustling skills that you have and make it work for you.
Right.
Because when we lived in the hood, we had to learn how to survive. We had to learn how to do this and do this. Take all that negative stuff and turn it into something positive. Right. I wanted to go to the comments real quick. Did you want to do Ty, or you want me?
I go ahead, boo. You flip today. Do you?
Okay.
Do you?
So, he says he just saw Chadwick Boseman didn't have will.
Man, listen.
Wait.
Put it on the thing. Give me 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Chadwick Boseman didn't have a will. Oops. Did you
sorry.
Okay, good. What sort of things should a family have as a way of planning for possible death?
All right, man. So cash money. Hey, cash money is king. Absolutely. So listen, when I saw that, for me, it goes back to the lack of knowledge and lack of understanding. We need to realize how important a will is. We need to realize how important a power of attorney is, durable power of attorney, medical power of attorney, how important an estate plan is. All of these things. If you have assets, you need an estate plan and you need a will. Okay. The will is free. Hell, whatever state you're in, I will send you the template for the will that you can use. Go get it stamped. I'm a notary. I will sign it for you. Okay. We'll get that done. Everybody needs a will, because here, and I did a Facebook Live on this probably, I would say, some months ago. And one of the key factors that we talked about is leaving with instructions. Okay. Leave with instructions, because shit, you can't take nothing else with you.
Right.
So at least leave with instructions. This is how you're going to proceed with my money, with my property, with my jewelry, with whatever else that you have. So leave with instructions. And that's all it is the will. So now you got this man's wife trying to fight a probate court about his assets. The other thing I want you to realize is, if you read that article, his net worth was only 900 something thousand. That was his net worth. We're talking about a man that was in some of the biggest films in the industry. Chadwick Boseman's net worth was about 900 and I say about 950, 980, give or take.
But see,
that was his net worth.
You think they got all this money? You don't know what's going on.
You never know. You never understand. And I mean, yeah, he probably paid a ton of money for his medical treatments and things of that nature. Wow. But you have a man that was in some of the biggest movies ever: 42, 21 Bridges, Black Panther, the Marvel movies, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you think about it from that aspect, it's like, okay, either he blew all his money or he put his money in different investments and other vehicles or whatever it may be. Like, he could have been a number of different things, but to leave this earth with all that success and have a net worth of a little over 900,000. Now, granted, they didn't say anything if he had life insurance and all that jazz, which I hope that he did, because that's a whole nother conversation.
Yep, life insurance.
Right? That is a whole nother conversation. But so to go back to the question, what sort of things should a family have as a way of planning for possible death? Number one, life insurance, period. If you do not have life insurance, period, done deal. Like, you need to get life insurance right now. Call me, whatever. Call the next person. I don't care. Because if you're not serious, don't call me. But if you're serious about it, life insurance is way too important, because people think that life insurance is so expensive, but it's really not. If you're in good health, you can get a policy for probably 20, 30, $50, depending on your age. That'll cover you. That'll cover you for 30 years.
Have a baby in our family. My mother immediately puts you on Gerber. There's life insurance policies everywhere.
Now, this is a serious question, and like I said, a lot of times I'm pulling from personal experiences. If you have family, if you have friends, if you know the neighbors across the street, the McGregors or whatever, and I don't want to talk about death. Matter of fact, anybody can die at any time. I'm not talking about it. And you're like, well, wait a second. We know what can happen after. We'll be stuck. I've actually been in situations where I had, members die in the family, and everybody's going crazy, trying to, put monies together. And then you don't want the person to get cremated, but that's the cheapest. You
Right.
know, do a big funeral, but have to do the memorial, and then everybody looking at you sideways. I can't make Ty get life insurance. How can you talk to those loved ones, those people that are close to you, to say, yo, this is important? Like, how do you do that?
So that's the thing. Let's be honest about it. You can't want something more than somebody else does, period. Okay. I can't want it more than you do. Like, I want you to have a great life, and I want you to be able to leave a legacy and leave things and make sure that things are paid off or whatever it may be. But I can't want it more than you do, because if that means if I want it more than you, then it's not meant for you. And that's just the reality of it. Right. So in having the conversation, you just got to get deep with him sometimes. I mean, I just had the conversation with my pops. Now, I mean, he's 60. I hope he lives forever, but I know the reality of it that he's not. But we had to have the conversation. Like, look, Pop, I need
to have the conversation with my mom. Now we know she has documents everywhere, and they're getting older. We already had an incident with our dad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Mom, now is the time we need to sit down and start getting everything in order. There's
people do stuff, and that's the thing. That's what's so damaging. You can't tell Auntie Rebecca or whoever, like, yo, you need this,
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes it boils down to the point of you just got to have that conversation and just set them straight. And then again, if they don't listen, then there is a way around it. The basis of it is like this. If you don't want to have a conversation, you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But give me your information so I can go get a policy on you. True. Let me do it myself. I'm now the owner of it. I'll get it taken care of.
What I understand is I had lost my husband some years ago. Now, as the wife, he really didn't have anything. My husband had sickle cell. So he was very ill from birth all the way up until sleeping in peace. So getting a life insurance policy on him, by the time I met him, it was a no-go. He had already had a pre-existing condition. Yeah. So they wouldn't take him. So, Medicaid or Medicare didn't like $1,600. That's it to help towards the burial expenses. But again, we had, thank goodness, he had really close friends that, paid for everything. But I would have been stuck with that bill. All the back bills that he had under his name all came to me. Right. They don't go to anyone else. They go directly to me. So when people are dying, where are those bills going to? Those bill collectors still want their money.
Yep.
They know that is deceived, but they still want that money. So folks, young and old, listen, I know you don't want to have the conversation. You have to have the conversation, because you're leaving your loved ones with unsettled debt and unanswered questions.
Right.
And it's not fair. It's going to happen. It's just the way life is. But we need to sit down and have those uncomfortable conversations, because we're the ones that's going to get left picking up and backtracking after everything is said and done.
That's it. And I mean, when we really look at it, if you're not leaving with instructions, or if you're not, I don't know how. If you're not leaving with instructions, or if you're not leaving with the purpose of, I want to leave my family in a better light, in a better situation, then you have to deal with what's called estate taxes and probate court. Okay. These are two things that if you have assets, you don't want your assets to be in. So again, here's another financial prescription, another hack. If you have life insurance and you own it, so let's say I have a life insurance policy and I own it myself. I pass away. Does my family get the money? Absolutely. But it has to run through my estate first. That means it has to go through probate. That means all my creditors have to get paid first, and then my family gets the money. So how do you go around that? The policy is on my life, but my wife owns it. You with me? The policy is on my life, but someone else owns it. Now, the owner is the one who is also the beneficiary and is then being able to get paid out. Wow. And now it just bypasses probate. It bypasses the estate, and the family gets everything. and they can pick and choose who they want to pay when they want to pay.
Yep.
So again, it's just about putting yourself in the right mindset and having the conversation, because a lot of people, if you don't have a conversation, you would have never known that. You would have never known. And people will continuously still own their own life insurance policies. It's going to go through probate. Then you're going to have more and more issues. Quite naturally, let's say if you got, student loan debt and all this other jazz, well, that's going to go and blow in the wind because your life insurance is taking care of it.
Wow. Right. We sat here for our hour show and, we just scaled the top.
Oh, yeah, this is just the surface. We ain't even talking about 401k, stocks, bonds.
so much. But I definitely had the initial conversation just to touch the base. I have to invite you back for a part 2. So we have to be able to schedule that in the future.
Absolutely.
So their questions ready. I have more questions, and so does I.
We got questions.
But with in saying that, just I wanted to touch upon the last little bit of comments here. I'll bring it up. So Liz Carter says, "LOL, you never want your grade point average to be higher than your credit score." Talking about parents using their kids' credit.
Yo, Liz.
We have Spec saying, "Wow, he's learning a lot. Thank you for watching." Cash Money ends up saying that predatory lending is highway robbery.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. We can go on and on and on. Like I said, once again, if you guys are just tuning in or you're tuning in later, Dr. King McCray Sr. basically put out there, hey, if you are serious about changing your mindset, your lifestyle, and getting your finances ready so you can have generational wealth for your family now, future, and moving forward, he'll waive all fees. If you can share, if you mentioned Mothers Unfiltered, if you can share your contact information one more time with the audience, that'd be great.
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook at just King McCray, KingMcCray. I am on Instagram at _financial doctor. All right. You can email me at King at McCrayEnterprises.org. Let me get the lighting right. McCrayEnterprises.org. There we go. Enterprises.org. Or you can reach me at my office, which is 407-602-8641. 407-602-8641. So feel free to contact me. Like I said, I am waiving all fees, but I will put out this disclaimer again. Do not contact me if you're not serious. If you're not serious about your financial future, if you're not serious about change, if you're not serious about, going into a new direction, don't call me. Call the next guy, because I'm only here to do a favor for Miss Kia and for Miss Ty and for, Mothers Unfiltered as a whole, because I feel like their message and this platform is very, very important. One quick statistic that I do want to put out there, and something that is very important during this whole COVID-19 crisis, this coronavirus thing, women took the majority of the hit. Okay. Women took the majority of the hit during COVID-19. They lost the more jobs. They lost the most wages. And this is a way for us to kind of turn the cycle, because I do feel like the foundation of every household, if you are, man and wife, is a woman is the CFO of the family. Okay. Let's just be honest. The woman is the chief financial officer. We might make the money, but they spend it and they know how to, put it in the right directions. So, it's important for women as a whole to have the most financial knowledge that they possibly can. But as a household, it's important. So again, if you're not serious, please, I'm telling you now, do not contact me, because I am, again, from the hood. I will hang up on you. I will block your number. All that jazz. Don't hit me up if you're not serious. Otherwise, if you are serious, welcome to the family. Come get your financial prescription, because there is time for change.
Yes.
Thank you. And again, guys, listen, Dr. King McCray did us a big favor. Again, if you're not subscribed to Mothers Unfiltered, please go on YouTube, subscribe, share, like, please help us, build our stuff up, because we want to be able to give you guys the best informed information that we can. And because we're unfiltered, we're able to do that in the most authentic way we possibly can. I know we have fun on here, but we do bring a lot of seriousness and things that'll make a difference towards not only your personal future, but the future of your bloodline and how it's going to look for them. And I'm done with my quick little spiel.
And my last little closing, at the end of the day, even if all this information that you are hearing, you already knew, please teach somebody else. Say, hey, I know you don't know, so let me put you on. Or maybe you can have the actual podcast playing in the background while you frying up some food or something. But just teach somebody so you can spread the knowledge. And
your kids, start teaching your kids now.
Oh, hey, listen, financial field trips. Field trips. So we're going to talk about it next time. Financial field trips.
Thank you so much. It was a blessing. Like and subscribe if you like what you hear and see. Thank you. Bye, guys. We love you.
Mwah, mwah.